Okay, so what do horses have to do with coaching? Well, they're the consummate coaches for human development. And how can that be? Well, because horses are preyed upon in their environment, they have a highly developed skill to sense what's going on in their environment. In fact, their very survival depends on that. So they've maintained that skill, and it's something that they actually can transmit very easily to humans. Being able to be aware and conscious of what's going on in your environment, the ability to discern what are the messages behind these things that are going on. Should I stay? Should I go? Fight or flight? What do I need to do? What action needs to take place? And then after taking care of it, making a decision to go back to grazing or go back to life. I call this skill emotional agility. She was a coaching client, she still is, and she came to me mostly around not really feeling validated, not really feeling heard. And she had trauma in her life earlier as a child, and so her ability to experience her emotions and connect to what was going on inside of her body was very, very skewed as a result of how she'd lived her life. So her daughter had told her that horses were really wonderful at actually getting you to be in touch with your emotions, so she came to me. We all kind of have a default position that is kind of our context for life or where we're coming from. And the point of doing it with a simple exercise such as leading the horse, you not only get to see which one is your default position, but you get to see how it impacts what you're trying to do or completion of a task. And so it was very clear to her that she was so shut down from the heart, which is the emotional place. It's as though the horse and the person were walking around and they were two separate beings that had nothing to do with each other. There was no connection, there was no relationship. And we made metaphors for that about how she is in relationship with her husband, how she is in relationship with her children, and her life in general. And it felt very empty for her. She didn't like that feeling of not being connected to the horses. And when she did it from her head, she felt very similar, but she got it done because she's one of those people, like so many of us, that, well, we're going to get stuff done. We're not just going to be slackers. But there wasn't any connection. There wasn't any relationship with the horse. So when she came from this place of integration of her head, her heart, and her gut, it was so beautiful. It looked as though they were dancing together, they were walking together, they were feeling so in connection with each other. And then she comes back after doing the exercises and she had tears in her eyes and she was really crying and saying, I just feel so much sadness. And remember, I'd said that one of the things she was unable to do is to get in touch with any of her emotions. They'd really been shut down as a result of her childhood traumas. And the only thing she could kind of manage was anger. But the sadness was very important for her. And Simon, Coach Simon, that's the horse, his behavior was such that he stopped when she started crying. He turned his head to her and he started just putting his nose right in her heart. And she told me that it was as though he was validating. He really heard her hurt. He heard her sadness. And for the first time, she was able to allow herself to be sad without wondering why she was sad, what was going to happen to her if she showed her emotions, and that she wasn't rejected for having an emotion, but instead she was very much in connection with another sentient being. It was very powerful for her. Very, very powerful. So what, again, do horses have to do with coaching? They have a way of mirroring our feelings and connecting with us in a much different way than we do when we're just cognitively involved with our environment and are engaging with each other from our heads. So this brings up the question of the heart as an organ of perception. And this is another major concept. So we've heard about coaching from the heart, but the heart actually is an organ of perception. actually, there's an institute called the Institute at HeartMath who's done an amazing amount of research on the heart's electromagnetic field. And what they found is that it's 5,000 times greater than that of the brain. So what that means is that we're out there interacting with each other through this heart connection and through that limbic system that I referred to before we can cognitively process it. So we really are connecting with each other on this heart level, on this heart connection level. And if we're not in touch with our emotions, or we're not allowing ourselves to feel from this space, imagine how much we're missing. And so as a coach, if you're unable to recognize what's happening between you and your client in that heart space, you're missing so much of what's going on. You actually end up coaching only from the head. And actually, I call emotional and energetic agility level 4 listening, because it's more than intuition. It really is about coming from a completely different place. I call it coaching from the heart, and it's actually quite literal. So I want to give you an example, another visual of what emotional and energetic agility looks like. And so we're going to be looking at something, but first I want to have you watch Coach Pino, one of our wonderful equine coaches, and I describe to you how emotional agility shows up in something called horse dancing. So let's take a look. The next thing that we're going to be doing is horse dancing. Horse dancing, I think, at least how I know it, came originally from Linda Kohanov when she was working with her horse Rasa. Actually, she has a wonderful card called Rasa Dance in her card deck. And it's really about the dance between horse and human being in the same relationship. So practicing and utilizing the skills of emotional and energetic agility, right? Congruence, being able to create awareness with each other and respond to that, and just have fun while you're doing it. And also, consensual leadership has a big role in horse dancing, because sometimes you're the leader and sometimes the horse is the leader. So timing is really important with this, being very aware of who's doing what when, what wants to happen. So horse dancing for me really is the ultimate form of coaching, because it's a dance between two sentient beings with not any particular agenda. Let's just see what happens. What can we do? So it's about creating movement and being in the silence, being in partnership, having boundaries, playing with those boundaries, and really just seeing what happens. So one of the things that I'd like to remind you when you do come in is, in order to do anything with energy, you have to create some. So movement is a very important part of horse dancing. I mean, you can come in and greet as you like, and I'll take you through something before you come in to get you in the state of dancing, the dancing state. And then, yeah. Just be with each other, but know that movement is usually an important component to any kind of energetic exchange. Okay? Pino, Pino. You gonna wait for your next partner? Okay.